region. My name is Staffan Lund. I'm coordinator of EU project called Baltic Compass, and we work on those issues. We will start by informing you a little bit about the conditions, the special conditions for agriculture and environment in the Baltic Sea region. And then we will go over to talk about how we could adapt and develop the common agriculture policy to better cope with the special conditions in the Baltic Sea region. And we have two panels during the afternoon, and I think we will finalize by we are finalizing by 2:30. Yeah. So let's start the presentations here, and I will start by introducing some of our findings in our cooperation. Baltic Compass is a project which is running all over the Baltic Sea region, and it's important to remember that agriculture in the Baltic Sea region is not special. It is the sea that is special. It is a small sea, shallow, it's brackish water, and that puts special drivers on agriculture to be able to protect the Baltic Sea. If you compare to the Mediterranean, I think per inhabitant in the Baltic Sea region there is about 700 cubic meters of water in the sea. But if you go to the Mediterranean, there is about 10,000 cubic meters per inhabitant. So there's a big difference between those parts in Europe when it comes to agriculture and environment. We have this vision, which I will trust you and say that I maybe didn't believe in from the beginning when we started this cooperation, that we will be able to try to support both the development of agriculture and the protection of the Baltic Sea. But my colleagues in this partnership has shown me that it is possible actually, and now I think we can reach both those aspects of protecting the sea and developing agriculture. That is the direction that we have to move in. Of course, the cooperation between countries are very important, and we have a lot of things to learn from experiences of people working on those issues in the different countries. We have a very broad scope of tasks that we work with, all the way from specific investments to policy adaptation, but we have a very simple working method. And that is that we try to inject all our results into discussions with different stakeholders. Yesterday we had a meeting in Warsaw in Poland talking about those issues. And we are running a series of such meetings around the Baltic Sea. We have a big variety of fruits in our basket, and the countries that we cooperate are all countries around the Baltic Sea, including Belarus, and we are also building cooperation with Russia right now. Altogether, we are 22 partners in nine countries. Just to pinpoint some of our emerging findings for the discussion later today, what we can see is that there is a very big difference between countries, how they apply the agro-environment support programs. There's a very big difference, and there's a very big difference how countries also pay farmers to do certain services. I think Finland is the country who pays most to farmers for certain services. We can also see see that the agri-environment measures are poorly targeted to the high-risk areas. We do not put the money where they would make the most benefit for the environment. And that also means that, and I think Family Eriksson will talk about that later on, that also means that the farmers who lives in low-yield areas, they are attracted by the support systems, but the farmers who lives in the high-yield areas with high numbers of animals and high yields, they are usually not attracted by the support system because they have other more competitive benefits of continuing their crop or cattle breeding. We can also see that almost all programs are you pay for a certain action that the farmer will do. You don't pay the farmer to reach a certain objective. And that is kind of complicated, and it also induces that the systems are not so cost effective. And you can also see that we do not stimulate collective measures, which we think is a very important thing, because water is floating freely in the landscape, but all subsidies are directly towards individual farmers. So those are some of the observations, and I think we will come into them later on in the discussion today. There are different drivers to improve this situation, and our compass has been mostly directed, I would say, towards the legislation issues and towards the voluntary measures that we will discuss today. But I think we will turn around the compass a little bit to deal more with agricultural sector development and how the business as such could benefit from environmentally friendly technologies. So I think this is a change that we will initiate within the project and the potential continuation of the project also. Some conclusions. People are usually committed to those things in the different countries, and there is a very good potential to increase cooperation between the Baltic Sea region countries, which is not utilized fully. We have to try and work to make the agri-environment support system more effective if we would be able to solve the problems in the Baltic Sea. We have to have them more targeted and more flexible for the farmers. And we also think that the ongoing initiatives, the European Union strategy for the Baltic Sea region and the HELCOM Baltic Sea Action Plan are very good platforms to develop this kind of cooperation. And from the project side, we would very much like to support that development as much as we can. Finally, I would say that probably most of you are in some way engaged in agriculture and environment, and if you need some kind of decision support outside this meeting that we will have today, you will find a lot of information on our website, and we will also help you with contacts to specialists in different countries if you would like to have that. So this was a short introduction, and it will be very nice to participate in the coming discussion. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sandra Kalnietis. I am a member of European Parliament elected from Latvia. I work in the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee, and the major preoccupation of our discussions currently, for now from the beginning of this legislature until the end, is and will be the reform of common agriculture policy. And to introduce our discussion, I would like just briefly to go over the main challenges and problems that we are facing, because Baltic Sea really is special, and it's not only about greening, but it is also how to find the sustainable balance between both food production, food processing, and environmentally friendly policies. Baltic Sea region, one of the most developed regions in the European Union, dense with forests, rich in water, highly developed agriculture, and active rural communities. And environmentally friendly policies are high on the government agenda. That is very important. And here I just sorted out an environmental performance index from Yale University, and you may see that all countries around Baltic states are classified rather highly by that index, which is rather flattering, and also it confirms the consequent work what we have done. That is percentage of forests what our countries have, and then we also have something which is diverse, and let's speak a little bit about history, because history is the layer which is under many of our problems what agriculture is facing now. For instance, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, since only since 1990 are independent countries, and we are able to reconstruct our economy according to market economy rules. Then also let's speak about Poland, which was dominated by Soviet Union, which left also an impact of Poland's economy. And if we look to Germany, reunification of Germany, two parts brought together in 1990, which also was a huge burden on Germany's economy. Only three countries around from European Union around our sea, Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, are truly free market economies. Now, if we look to the statistics, in 1990, when the Berlin Wall fell, Baltic states were on the level of EU average in milk production, the same in meat production. Now, if you look, we are much, much lower after that period. And if we look to animal density in the EU, again, the countries joining the Union in 2004 are far behind those countries who had normal development since the end of the Second World War. I consider that the biggest challenge, and I repeat it in almost on every discussion about CAP reform, for this reform is how to redistribute the direct payments, because the payments on which the base of the payments for new member states are years 97, 98, 99. And then from that we took only 25%, and our governments had right to add national capping to that. 25 from 100% what would be due in direct payments according to our statistical data. And now you can see the statistical data of current payments among member states. The highest are Netherlands, Belgium. I'm not mentioning Malta because Malta is a very special case in agriculture. And the last, between the last are Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. And it is not normal 695 euros per hectare. If we look to both rural development and direct payments together, again, the picture is not very fair. Now, what are the current CAP reform objectives, and do the proposal made by the Commission respond to these objectives? I would say it does not respond, because it is not based on the objective criteria. Why it is not based? Because member states are not able to agree what are the objective criteria. But the principal goals are productivity and competitiveness, environmental and climate change, effectiveness and efficiency. So now if we speak about the main problem of this reform, about the distribution of the direct payments. Here, with the blue, you see the current situation in member states. Yellow, that is the proposal made by the European Commission. And as you may see, the green horizontal line, that is EU average, which is around 270 euros. And in year 2020, which is the end of transitional period, according to the proposal made by the Commission, Latvia, Estonia and Lithuania still will receive only around something around 55% from EU average. It is not fair and it is not an honest competition. If we, and then I conclude, if we look to the weight of expenses, which was always used an argument by new member states who joined the European Union after 2004, why their payments are so low. Because the expenses are much lower. The only position which is lower still, that is the labor force. All other positions are as high as in almost all countries, and you can see by the red dot, Latvia is on the same level where is Germany and France and Hungary and many other countries, including also countries of Baltic states. And here again, we are coming to one of the to another challenge, which is the greening of common agriculture policy. And here you see the map of the costs of the greening in EU countries. And direct payments is the money what together the rural development money our farmers can use for the capitalization of their farms, for increase of productivity, etc., etc. All the requirements for veterinary and sanitary standards for the greening are the same as in all other member states. And that is the biggest challenge, how to create the unified system in common agriculture policy, which would provide for fair competitiveness among all member states and among all farmers. That was my message, what I wanted to tell you. And just to conclude, that mostly those who stand on the green side of the well and those who stand on the brown side, meaning agriculture, they sometimes see each other as completely not enemies, but at least competitors, aggressive competitors. But in reality, they are close collaborators, because farmers are not a problem. Farmers are part of the solution. And that is something what we should keep always in mind, because farmers provide the processing industry in Europe with the food and with the jobs, which is important for European economy. Thank you for your attention to my remarks. I hope I introduced all the scope of our debate. And now I will pass floor to Mr. Kai Forsius. He is project Protection Commission, HELCOM. So the floor is yours. Do you need
Yes, I have a
Okay,
presentation.
let's move it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While we are getting on to the presentation, yes, maybe a small introduction. Yes, I am coming from the Baltic Marine Protection Commission, or Helsinki Commission, or even shorter HELCOM. I'm the project manager of a EU funded Baltasar project, where we work with Russia only, and we have also here some agricultural component. So today I will give you a regional perspective to the issue, as we are the regional player in the environmental field of the Baltic Sea. And actually, as I have a short time to present my issue, I will start with the conclusions in order to be sure that I get my main points or the main message through. So it is really so that eutrophication is the first priority of Baltic Sea, that you can say. And it is also very clear that we have a special situation in the Baltic Sea, as Staffan said in the introduction. It is a very sensitive sea compared to other marine regions in Europe. And it's also clear that we will not reach a good ecological status of the Baltic Sea if we do not reduce nutrients drastically. And this means also that we need to reduce a lot from agriculture. A lot has been done within agriculture also in the region, but it has not been effective enough so far. So we need more targeted measures at the most critical areas. And I also see that we need to coordinate all policies in the region. This is the aim of HELCOM, to have harmonized requirements. If you look at the implementation of, for example, the Nitrates Directive, you cannot really say that the approaches are the same in the countries. And the third point I want to make is that we should not forget Russia. Russia is a member of HELCOM, unlike the other 8 contracting states of HELCOM. In our Baltasar project, we are working with this, and we contribute from our side also to the implementation of the EU Baltic Sea strategy with regard to agriculture from that point of view. So we are working also in this respect, that we harmonize measures also in Russia. And then I think it's very important that we can follow up how effective the measures are that are implemented. Do they reduce the pollution to the Baltic Sea enough? And do they have an effect on the state in the sea? And here you can really see that we are not yet having a good ecological status. The red color here shows where the condition is bad, and as you can see, there is too much red color on this map still. And this is because of the high loads of nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, to the Baltic Sea. This slide shows then the share of these nutrients coming from the different sectors. The yellow sector here is showing the share from diffuse sources, and most of the diffuse sources are coming from agriculture. Not all, for example, forestry can be a big sector or source as well. So if you take away from this pie chart the natural background load, then you can see that from the anthropogenic load to the Baltic Sea, it's more than half of both nitrogen and phosphorus that is coming from diffuse sources. So it's clear we have to work in these fields. As I mentioned, it's very important to integrate the different programs and policies in the region. With respect to our HELCOM Baltic Sea Action Plan, which is our guiding instrument, and when you compare it to the EU Baltic Sea Region Strategy and also the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, I think they are well in line with each other. The action plan fits like a hand in a glove with the EU strategies. But you also have to remember that the requirements, they are implemented on a national scale, and there we have really big differences. So here is still room to look at, even if the frames are well coordinated, then we need to do a little bit more field work, so to say. For example, this is the Nitrates Directive and the designation of the nitrogen vulnerable areas. Finland, Denmark, Germany and Lithuania, they have designated the whole country as nitrogen sensitive, whereas for example Poland has designated around 2%. So if you think from a Baltic Sea perspective, the nitrogen directive is not really implemented in the right way from a Baltic Sea perspective, because the Baltic Sea is sensitive for both nitrogen and eutrophication. So you could say that the whole catchment area would be nitrogen sensitive as well. But of course, this approach is then very rough if you have the whole area, and it's not very cost effective. So as mentioned before, we would need then to define the most or sensitive areas in a more targeted way. And here this shows another approach and a more maybe detailed with showing the area specific loads in kilograms per square kilometer for both phosphorus and nitrogen. And the more darker the color is, the more higher loads, specific loads you have. So example for phosphorus, you can see in the Archipelago Sea in Finland and in the Sound, they are quite dark here, and also in this respective half of Poland have quite high specific loads. So, but this is still quite a rough calculation of the most sensitive areas. So it has maybe to be done on a national level in more detail. Within our Baltasar project, we have done a risk assessment in two regions in Russia, in Leningrad region and Kaliningrad region. We made it for the large animal farms with respect to the potential threat to the Baltic Sea. So first on the left hand side you can see the inventory where the big farms are located, and based then on this risk assessment we made a prioritization, and altogether 26 farms were prioritized in the two areas together. So this I think was quite a good approach. And yeah, to the last point is that we need indicators. I think we need indicators both for pressures and for the good ecological status.